Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, September 3rd. I'm Jimmy Prince for the details. The issue of climate change and how it is affecting small island states needs to be addressed now. That's the message given at the 3rd International Conference on Small Island Developing States in Samoa by this country's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Camilo Gonzalez. Senator Gonzalez lamented that while Caribbean small island states have been experiencing anemic post-crisis growth, their GDP has been battered by the impact of climate change. He told the conference about the experience of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, noting that this country has over the last 4 years gone through 4 different climate anomalies, including the December 2013 floods, which resulted in a 17% loss in GDP.
We are tired because the response to our alarms has been hollow promises, crocodile tears, and studied indifference to the root causes of our distress. To date, the response of major emitters amounts to a reckless and almost criminal disregard of the consequences and obligations of their actions. Their continuing refusal to meaningfully mitigate their emissions constitutes an act of aggression and climate warfare against innocent small island states and our populations. This year, SIDS call for real and substantial commitments of climate financing for mitigation and adaptation. Next year, we demand and expect firm and legally binding commitments to emissions targets that will ensure our continued existence. We have neither the time nor the patience to be further insulted and endangered by excuses or inaction. The time to conclude our global dithering on climate change is now.
Meanwhile, the Foreign Affairs and Trade Minister also used the opportunity to call for an end to the practice of using per capita GDP as an obstacle to providing developmental assistance or relief to small island developing states. He explained that the lone dissenting metric of per capita GDP suggests that countries such as St. Vincent and the Grenadines are either as rich or wealthier than global heavyweights. He said that the incongruity of such data should disqualify it as a measure of national wealth and resilience in the small islands context, as it misleadingly labels Caribbean states as middle or high-income countries. He said that this places them beyond the scope of many types of debt relief and concessionary financing.
Stripped of context, per capita GDP fails to capture the obvious vulnerabilities and developmental hurdles that confront us on a daily basis. Any serious analysis of our economic and developmental health must include structured evaluations of our vulnerability and resilience. It is only then that a truer picture of our needs and possibilities can emerge. The time for such a reform.
In other news, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez has said that while his government is good at building fisheries complexes, they are not the best at maintaining them. Speaking at the signing ceremony yesterday afternoon of some $5.8 million worth of equipment from Japan, which will be used to help improve the fisheries sector, Dr. Gonzalez says there is a need for better maintenance of the fisheries buildings and facilities here. Meanwhile, speaking of specific works to be carried out on the Oria Fisheries Complex, the Prime Minister says work must also be done to better secure the facility.
At Oria, we have to have an elevated water reservoir tank, and the ice plant is going to be restored, and we're going to do some subsidiary works, including exchanging the fuel supply equipment up there. Now, while we are going to do that, I passed up to Oria the other day. We have to deal, Saboto, with the fencing and the gate, because we have some repairs to do there for that outside, while you are helping to have us equipped better on the inside. And that kind of equipment, a lot of equipment, that is $4.8 million US.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Godfred Pumpy, has given the assurance that all the relevant things have been put in place to deal with the issues raised by the mother of deceased prison inmate Renwick Hutchins. Pompey said that he met with Nicole Hutchins and her legal team last Friday, one day after her son died when he succumbed to injuries he sustained after falling at the Belle Isle prison facility. According to P.S. Pompey, the meeting went well, and he explained that there is a process which needed to be addressed at the administrative level. Pompey, however, said that at the end of the investigation, once deemed necessary, the matter will be taken up by the Director of Public Prosecutions and Attorney General. He, however, could not give a time period on how long the investigation process will take. Isol Lynch, a 33-year-old resident of Layou, is now before the court on a charge of deception. He is accused of dishonestly obtaining by deception $400 EC from Andrew French at Annesville on August 6, 2014. He appeared at the Kingstown Magistrates Court this morning and pleaded not guilty to the charge. Court prosecutor Police Constable Shamrock Pierre objected to his bail. He stated a police identification was used during the commission of the offense, and also that the defendant is of interest to the police at Baraboo for similar matters. Lynch was remanded into custody until Tuesday, 9th September 2014, when his bail will be reviewed. This country's senior magistrate, Rashawn Brown Matthias, has expressed concerns with the number of persons who are coming before the court on charges of driving without a permit. Her concerns came this morning while presiding over traffic matters at the Kingstown Magistrates Court. According to the magistrate, it is clear that persons do not know the gravity of the offense. She notes that if someone gets knocked down by one who is driving without a permit, they'll have to face the brunt of the matter of the law, whether financial or otherwise. She encouraged the would-be offenders to obtain their licenses and congratulated the traffic department for a job well done in bringing some of these offenders before the court. This year's Carnival prize-giving ceremony will be held later this month. This was disclosed by the Carnival Development Corporation, which indicated that the ceremony will be held on September 25th at the Murray Heights Hotel. The ceremony is usually held during the first or second week of July. However, no explanation was offered for the delay. SVGTV News was told that Ashford Wood, the Chief Executive Officer, and Dennis Ambrose, Chairman of the CDC, were both unavailable for comment on the matter. Operating a successful business for almost 10 years is seen as a great accomplishment for young Maxwell Sayers. Just under a year ago, Sayers converted his business into a 24-hour fruit stand. Recently, Jamisha Wright had a chat with the young farmer about his ambitions and future plans.
For some, he is seen as just another guy in the city selling fruits. But did you know that 31-year-old Maxwell Sayers of Victory Village is the sole proprietor of Kingstown and Maybe, SVG's lone 24-hour fruit stand with some 6 employees. What inspired you to go into a business like this?
Well, I believe it was something in me. It's mindset to say, right? But I believe I was born with the talent to do being self-employed. Because from secondary school, I went on to A-level college, but I decided to do my business on my own. So unfortunately, I dropped out of college, which, I mean, is not a too bad thing because I'm making it.
You've experienced any challenges? What are some? I'm sure you have. What are some of the challenges you've incurred?
Well, I mean, back in school, I was taught that being self-employed or a sole trader is a very hard task. As in, one of the major disadvantages, long hours of work. As in extra hours. The working hours will be flexible, but they got extended hours to accommodate, your customers and so forth. A lot of challenges I've made is getting a proper sleep.
Proper sleep?
Yeah, sometimes I sleep on a step, I sleep on a table or a bench, but I'm making it.
How it works? You have employees? What do you do?
I have a few employees and they work on shift. So 90% of the time I do the day shift, and then someone take over like from 7 at night on to the morning, and I come like 6 or 5:30 in the mornings.
What do you consider this? I mean, you've been doing it for 9 years, so it must be a lucrative business. It must be profitable to you.
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, I'm making it. So it's paying my bills. I'm living comfortably. I'm surviving. Despite the fact that other young people might complain about the government, I don't do those stuff.
Yeah.
I'm making it. So I had a few experience.
You've always been into agriculture, selling fruit, stuff like that?
I used to help my mom in the market selling vegetables and so forth from way back in primary school onwards. I once told my mother I didn't want to go to secondary school after starting selling, but because I believe I'm self-employed, as in some people say hustling. I believe it was for me. I was meant for it.
Okay.
I mean, and other people might look at me and simple and say, okay, well, you know, somebody selling on the fruit, but I have the knowledge of the basic fundamentals of a business, you know. So what I learned in school, I implemented into practical.
Into practice, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what advice though would you give to other young persons who some may drop out of school or some may still be in school but admire what you do? What would you say to those persons?
Well, first and foremost, you got to put in mind to make them do hard work. It's a mind thing. Okay? Nothing good comes easy, as I said before. So once you set your goals, work hard towards the target, then you can achieve.
Says not only sells fruits, but also grows them and produce most of the other commodities that he sells.
My biggest profit earner is farine.
Oh, great. Who made the farine do?
Exactly. I was just getting to that. Mind you, farine is a very, very hard process.
I think I know how to do it. My grandmother used to do it.
This is by far the hardest thing to produce, to eat. A lot of hard work, but I love doing it.
Oh, so you do it yourself?
Yep, that's my production.
Says he expects to be in business for the long haul. Reporting for SVG-TV News, I am Jamisha Wright.
Here's some more business news now. Two Vincentians, Betty Jane Punnett, a retired professor, and Justina Charles, a former manager at Children's Wear Business in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, have teamed up with SVG Youth Business Initiative to develop Vinci Wear. Vinci Wear is a cooperative that will produce high-end, unique children's clothing to sell in North America and eventually worldwide. According to SVG Youth Business, this venture will revitalize the smoking industry in this country and provide economic opportunities for poor women here. Smoking is a traditional embroidery skill that has long been practiced in the Caribbean and is popular on children's clothes. Youth Business SVG said market research has already shown that the initiative would be readily acceptable by consumers in North America, Europe, and elsewhere. The cost of the entire startup is an estimate of $35,000 US, and the Vincentians are being asked to donate to this venture, which will help to provide employment for many Vincentians. Ferdinand Marshall is the latest lotto jackpot winner at a handing over ceremony earlier today at the check of $73,800. It was pointed out that he purchased the winning ticket in Layou on August 19th. The winning numbers were 4, 23, 27, 28, and 32.